Bobby and Bessie's story. Bobby is the little black and white one over there with Sophie. He was found by one of our supporters living on a caravan site. The supporter negotiated his release, and when he arrived, he was absolutely underweight, anemic. His coat was disgusting. He was covered in those lovely lice, and had a severe red worm burden. And most of all, he was really, really depressed, dull-eyed, and just down, basically. The team monitored him overnight, and the vet came the following day to discover that he was only 80 kilos in weight, and he was 6 months old. So he was in a terrible state. And I've got some pictures of him here. So that's little Bobby when he first came in. And then we've got some pictures of his coat. And you can see this is not something you want to just like get your dandy brush out to have a go at. Bessie was discovered by the same supporter again, effectively on day 2. At the time, we didn't have a horse box. We've been very kindly donated a horse box by Support Adoption for Pets, and we're unbelievably grateful for that because it means we can rescue animals in a very safe environment. But we didn't have our horse box at the time, so we actually had her delivered to us, and she actually came in the back of a transit van. Now, if any of you guys have horses, I mean, I spend hours worrying about whether the partitions are in the exact right place and whether anything's going to catch on my horse on the way down. But actually, I was running a corporate group in our yard. In drove this transit van, and the guy opened the back doors, and out came Bessie. Sort of flopped out and, you know, poodled off down the yard. And basically, she'd been sat in the back of this transit van with the seats, with the paint, whatever. And bless her, she arrived like that. I have to say, it was brilliant from a corporate group's perspective. We have a lot of corporate groups come and do stuff like paint the fences for us and things like that. Actually, quite often bankers, so I don't know quite why that is. But it's great from a corporate group's perspective because they all came and donated afterwards because they'd seen this poor little animal arrive in such a terrible state. When she came, you could see and feel absolutely every bone on her body, and she had hot and bald raw skin where she had urine burns on her. We put her in with Bobby, and basically their faces both lit up, so they clearly had spent a lot of time suffering together, and they were very closely bonded. So, but a few pictures of how they were. This is Bessie when she first came out of that transit van. So you can see she's still got a coat on here. So she looks thin, but not really all that bad. But then this was her raw skin. So this is where she's been lying in her own wee, basically. And that is on her leg. It was also under her tummy, well, wasn't it, Sophie? So it wasn't just that spot there. So the team clipped them out. This is clipping off Bobby. He was matted, but he didn't have any particular raw skin. But you can see from the pictures where it's all the gunk is coming off him, and we get through clipper blades like there's no tomorrow, I think it's fair to say. And then this is Bessie clipped, okay? So you can see literally every bone in her body, and that's how thin she was when she came to us. I have to say, I've just seen her get out of the horse box now, and I thought there was quite a difference, if I'm completely honest. She certainly didn't have that bottom then. And this is a picture of how her leg, the skin was on her leg, once it had actually been clipped and the hair's gone. So having clipped them, here they are in the quarantine stable. As I say, we've got heat lamps. We're very, very lucky to have those. Those have been donated to us, and we give them a big warm bed to welcome them into the sanctuary. When they move out of the quarantine stable, we still, obviously they now have no hair on them, and they've not got any weight either, so we always make sure they're thoroughly rubbed up when they're out of the quarantine stable. And again, we haven't put costs potentially for rugs on here because we get a lot of donations, and without those sorts of donations it would be very difficult for us to do our job here. So following on from being rescued and rehabilitated with us, they spent about 6 months, both of them, at the sanctuary. Then they were fostered by one of our vets, which was fabulous. We had a fairly good idea that they'd probably be okay with horses, so that was good. And now they're fostered by Sophie and Danny, who keep them at their yard. And I've got a few pictures of them. This is what they were like literally in the 6 months when they were at Hope Pastures. So it takes a long time. It's not just something that happens overnight to build the condition on an animal like that. So that's a picture of them in the first 6 months. And then just to show you how far they've come, I mean, you guys can see how far they've come because they're here today. But this is a picture of them out at doing a Christmas visit at Pets at Home, okay? So you've got to bear in mind these are two highly abused and badly treated animals, and yet they're still able to come round and do things like go out on these sorts of visits. So in terms of the issues that Bobby and Bessie have had, we think hopefully now they have a happy and secure future. They're rising 4 and they're basically loved, and you know, Danny and Sophie look after them unbelievably well. They're basically, I would say, part of the family. And I have a little picture here of Bobby going out for a drink with Danny on one evening. So you can see they're literally part of the family and loved. And so hopefully that is a happy ending for these guys.